Effective note-taking skills. The act of note-taking promotes active engagement in the learning process and can help you to concentrate while studying. The habit of note-taking can be applied to demonstrate active learning while reading, while attending lectures and seminars, while reading articles, or while listening to audio records, or watching video learning materials. Your note-taking acts as a translation of what you are learning into written words, which helps you to understand what you are studying better. Instead of receiving information passively, note-taking helps you to digest the information, process it, and put into the context of your existing knowledge. Importance of note-taking. The act of note-taking stimulates your thinking and engagement with your studies. It can be established that the act of note-taking, or writing things down using association, produces ideas about another subject. Trying to synthesize information through the act of note-taking aids you to develop a stronger memory for tracing details than when you are just reading or listening. In terms of examination, you are more likely to remember information in 6 or 9 months' time if you have a good set of notes while attending lectures or reading books. A good set of notes acts as an excellent record for use when writing your assignments, whether it's an essay or report, or revising for your examinations. The records of the lectures, or the books you have read, will be permanent through note-taking, and a reading of the notes will often bring back in fullness the original experience in a surprising way. Rewriting your notes, following a lecture or study time, can help you to reproduce a neat set of study material that could be used in the future to reinforce your understanding of the subject in your assignment or examination questions. Taking notes and treating them with respect, storing them in a folder or binder, can help to create useful materials for writing your essays or revising for examinations later. How to take notes. When taking notes from a lecture, or from a book, or articles, be aware that you are attempting to make a compressed and accurate record of information. You may also be taking notes of other people's arguments, and possibly your own observation on the subject in question. Think about the materials you are reading, or what you are observing. Your objective is to distinguish the more important points from less important points being made. Do not attempt to reproduce the original information, but to write down your understanding of the subject in question. Taking notes is a very active form of studying. It is required that you should be an active listener, or read closely, while thinking about the content, and deciding which parts of the content needs to be recorded for your own use. By active engagement with the material you are reading, you will be able to strengthen your memory traces that your notes will have to activate at a later time. You should also be converting the argument of the book, or the lecture content, into your own words. Do not attempt to copy verbatim the original content, with the belief that it will be more useful to you. Quotations can be accepted. Despite that, your notes can only be for your own use. It will be more effective if you make your records more clearly. The more well organized, clearly recorded, and carefully stored your notes are, the better they will be useful to you when you need them in the future. Avoid using small notepads. They may be used for temporal observations, but may not be suitable for academic works. Note-taking layout. Write clearly, and leave spaces between each entry. Do not attempt to squeeze as many as possible onto one page. It is not a good idea. With good layout and spaces in your notes, you will be able to easily capture or retrieve information from the pages when needed. Cornell. Note-taking layout. Note-taking area. Make sure to leave large spaces in your notes to add information later. Summaries area. Write a brief summary of that day's notes. Q, or question column. Write questions in the margins. Headings and tabulation. You can use tabulation system by numbering your points, so as to help you keep one point distinct from another. Use headings and subheadings to create a clear memorable layout in your notes. Each of the headings of numbering, or highlights, could be done using your own preferred system of notation. Use a new set of pages for each new topic. This helps you to keep things separate and have them clearly titled and labeled for easier recalling. Develop a system of mechanics. Jot down words or phrases, not entire sentences. Develop some system of shorthand and be consistent in its use. Leave out small service words. Use contractions and abbreviations. You can use common mathematical symbols, such as plus, equals, and multiplication. Other symbols include and, hash, and at. The use of visual aids. You can use graphs, pictures, or any other visual materials, if you consider them helpful to preserve a record and keep a material for future use. You can use your own unique signs, shorthand, and abbreviations or drawings to replace certain information in your notes. Some people create their own unique or personal codes and associate them to certain information in their notes. Do these, if you consider them useful, but remember to be consistent in using them. If not, you would be confused by their meanings later in the future. Sources records. Always make a note of your sources when you are taking your notes from books or articles. You should write accurate references and page numbers for quotations. Citing and referencing the sources will serve as evidence to support your points in your assignment and exams. Recording the sources will also help you locate the information from the sources if you need to recheck the information later. This applies also when using library books, as this will save you a lot of time from going back to the library catalog index for a second time later. Taking notes from lectures. When you are taking notes during lectures, you will find the task easier if you are well prepared before the lecture. Learn in advance to anticipate what is to be said. However, ensure you follow the development of the argument or exposition. Don't just sit back and let words wash over you, and don't be lulled into a sense of security by an effective presentation. Hearing a thing once is not enough. Memory requires review and understanding. Listen carefully to what is being said, and look at the lecturer and watch out for any signals or clues. Listen carefully to the conclusion when the lecturer tries to draw together all the main argument into one coherent statement. Remember that your objective is to record the main points of the lecture. Don't try to write down verbatim everything that is being said. You will never keep up with this. Pay attention to key issues or main ideas and record them rather than the details around them. Ask questions and discuss if it's permitted. If not, jot questions in your notes. Compare the information with your own experience. Don't swallow everything uncritically. Don't reject what seems strange or incorrect. Check it out. But don't allow preconceived notions to distort what you are hearing. Review and reword your notes. You should consider creating a schedule to reword your notes as soon as possible. When rewording your notes, don't just recopy or type think. Reminiscing may provide forgotten material later. Rewrite skimpy parts. Fill in gaps as you remember points. Arrange with another to compare notes. Find answers to any questions remaining unanswered. Write a brief summary of the event. The best time to review and reword your notes is immediately after the lecture. At this time, all information is still fresh in your mind. At this point, you can eliminate any less important information you may have recorded in your notes. You can also link the main arguments and put them into prominence in relation to each. Taking notes from books and articles. Your strategy in note-taking will depend on your reading purpose. If you are searching for a piece of information, just use skim or search reading techniques. If you have to absorb and digest information more thoroughly, make sure that you approach the task with conscious purpose. Do not just drift through the material, reading at random, or looking for something of interest. In addition, do not try to copy out long sections from the material. Digest the argument, and write them down in your own words. If you think you might need a long passage, for future reference or quotation, consider taking a picture of the passage. Your experience with the subject will help you to know when you need to make note from the material. However, ensure you grasp the main issues. You can do this by noting the key terms and phrases that appear in the material. Make a summary of the author's argument. Ensure you distinguish between the principal issues and the detailed examples used as illustration. This will help you develop your analytical skills. Things to avoid. Avoid too much information. The value of your note is not measured by the quantity of what you have written, but by the quality of your analysis and judgment. Avoid too little information. Do not be lulled into a false sense of security by thinking you will remember the points and don't need to record and summarize them. We forget 50% of what we hear immediately, and after 2 months, another 25% is gone. Pay attention to both the subject and your need to make notes on it. Avoid missing the key points. This often happens when too much detail is recorded, but with little illustrative points. Make notes only when the most important ideas are shared. Avoid copying too much of the original text when you are taking notes from books or articles. Too much text from the original source means that you have not digested the material and translated them to your own understanding, using your own words. Avoid squeezing a lot of information into one page. Leave plenty of spaces between points. Avoid poor layout. Good page layout will help you to locate information from the page at a later time. Avoid using pieces of paper to take notes. They can easily get lost or be misplaced. Use proper notebooks for note-taking. Summary. The act of note-taking develops your thinking and analytical skills, while helping you to engage well in your personal studying and during lecture time. When taking notes, focus on identifying the main points, or arguments, or your own observation on the subject in question. Digest them, and translate them into your own words. When taking notes, do not attempt to copy verbatim the original content. You can use phrases, shorthand, symbols, and not the entire sentences. But remember to reword your notes as soon as possible. When taking notes from books or articles, ensure you distinguish between the principal issues and the detailed examples used as illustration. This will help you develop your analytical skills. Avoid the attempt of squeezing as many as possible onto one page. It is not a good idea. At Talent and Skills Hub, you can be supported by our instructors, academic skills advisors, and mentors for sessions on quality academic writing and study skills. You can book an appointment for one-to-one or group tutoring through our website, tshub.com.